second grade. I have a new essential question for you this week. And I want you to think about it on your own for a moment. And that is, why are rules important? Take a moment and think about that. Why do you think that rules are so important? We have rules, and they're different depending on where we are. We have different rules at home than we do at school. We might have different rules driving a car than we do riding our bike outside. So there are different rules for different places and different situations. But why do you think rules are important? Because everywhere you go, we're hearing something about follow the rules. Oops, that's not a rule. So that's what's so important about them. That's our brand new essential question for this week. And I think it's a really good question. So we're going to look to answer that question as we read some stories this week. And it's always good to get examples too, so that they really stick in our brain and we can remember what's so important about these things. I'm going to show you a picture of a group of kids. What do you notice by just looking at the picture? What is going on? So I see they all look about the same age, I would guess. I noticed they kind of look like maybe they're coming to Seabreeze. They're wearing a uniform of some sort. I'm seeing navy and khaki and these polo shirts. What else do you notice? Maybe the name tags. Did you see the name tags on the kids? What's this in the back? A school bus. What's going on? So these children are going on a class field trip, and they're following the school's rules. So they form two lines and they listen to their teacher. Why do we have rules? Why? Well, rules keep us safe. That keeps these kids together in one place, and it makes sure that they don't get lost. They're somewhere different in a new place that mostly probably they've never been to before. So these rules keep the kids safe because it keeps them in two rows, two lines, and all together so that the teachers can keep an eye on them. All right, so that's a good example right there of why rules might be really important if you're out and about. So I want you to think some rules that you have at home. Why are those rules so important? You might think, I don't want any rules, but there's rules for a reason, and your grown-ups at home have special rules that might be different than your friends' rules other places. So I want you to think of an example of a rule that you have at home, and you're going to write that down. And then I want you to think of why you think that's so important. Why does your grown-up have that rule at your house? All right, so that's your first question, and we're going to write that down. If you want to write it right now, if you had a good idea that just popped into your brain and a rule that you thought of and you know why it's so important, can you write it? You can pause the video and press play when you're done writing. But I want you to write that down in a piece of paper or in your ELA journal, okay? Because you're going to send that to me after our lesson, all right? Next part, I would like to read you another example of why maybe rules are so important, okay? So we're going to read about how America became an independent country and how it developed its own rules. So we're talking about rules at a house. Did you even think about rules in a whole country? Oh my goodness gracious. So this is going to be a really good example to us of why rules are so important because our country is huge, way bigger than our school, way bigger than our home. So these rules must be really important to help keep people safe. All right, listen up. I'll show you the pictures as we go. And as always, you can scroll down and read along with me. All right, you will see these pages down below. You can read right along with me or listen and then go read on your own. All right, on the 4th of July, skies across the United States light up. It's Independence Day. It's a holiday that celebrates the Declaration of Independence. That's a hard thing to say. Can you say that? Declaration of Independence. Yes, independence. So in 1776, this statement was written to tell the King of England, another country, that the colonies were free from his rule. The colonies would be united to form a new country. So Janet Chang, who's 8 years old, she recently visited Philadelphia with her family. So Philadelphia was the first capital of the United States. Can you say Philadelphia? Philadelphia. The Changs went there to learn about their country's history and the past. So this next section is titled Busy Building. And here's the Changs going to visit. Alrighty. So first, they went to Independence Hall. That's where the Declaration of Independence was signed, said Janet. Oh, Janet exclaimed. She was so excited to be there. 10 years after the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution was written. Can you say Constitution? Constitution. These are some big words today, huh? The writers of the Constitution created new rules for the country. So when you hear the word Constitution, you know that means a set of rules. And these are special rules. These are rules for our entire country. My goodness. So rules are important. They help to keep order in a country and it gives people rights. So one new rule was that people could state their opinion. We wrote about some opinions last week, didn't we? And we practiced voicing what we thought, what we felt was important, and we got to speak on why. Can you imagine if we lived somewhere where we couldn't say what we thought and what we felt was right or wrong, and we had no way to voice our opinion? Well, that would be crazy, and that would be so hard to live in a place like that. But there are places in the world where you can't voice yourself as freely as here where we live. So that's one rule that we are able to share our opinion. The next section is titled Ringing for Freedom. So the Changs later visited the Liberty Bell. So it's a very famous bell. And it's when the first public reading of the Declaration of Independence took place. It was on July 8th of 1776. It looks like this. The Liberty Bell. The bell also chimed to announce important events, such as when a president was elected. Finally, Janet and her family explored Franklin Court. This is where Benjamin Franklin lived and worked. So Franklin was one of the writers of the Declaration of Independence. Have you heard about him before? Benjamin Franklin. He also helped frame the Constitution. To remember their visit, the Changs mailed a postcard from Franklin's post office. I'll never forget this day, said Janet. So I want you to think a little bit. And we're talking about these rules, right? So we're thinking about rules in our house, and we're coming up with an idea, an example of that. So what is one rule in our country? They gave us an example in the story, so you can go back and find that example if you would like. So what's that rule? What's a rule in our country? If you know a different rule that we follow here in our country, write that one. All right. And then I want you to tell me, why do you think rules are important? Why are they important? Why do we need rules in certain situations? All right. And then I want you to think about how one of those rules, either the one at your house or the rule of our country, how is that different to school rules? So I know we haven't been in school as much as some other friends were at home, but I want you to think back to when you were at school. Think of lining up, like the kids at the beginning of the story are here at the beginning. Do you line up like that when you're getting ready to leave your house? Probably not, right? Unless you have a lot of siblings and your parents need you to line up like little ducks in a row. But we have different rules at school for different reasons. So I would like you to give me an example of a rule at school too and how that is different. All right, so we're going to be thinking about these examples this week and reading a little bit more about rules and why they are so important. Scroll down and you're going to see those questions below as well. I look forward to reading your responses. Please let me know if you have any questions. And I would love to see a copy of those sent to me in Dojo just like normal. Have a beautiful day and I'll talk to you soon, all right? Bye-bye.